Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This moment, I'd like everybody to have a moment of silence for all our military, members of law enforcement, and our loved ones that have passed. Thank you very much. I'd like to call Liliana Amadeo to the podium. She'll start to lead us off with the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. If you remain standing for a few more seconds, we would like to bring up Richard Hart to sing God Bless America.
Please, if you know the words, join me. When the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair Thank you. God bless our veterans. Thank you.
And now I'd like to invite for our invocation the Reverend Dr. Cynthia Diaz.
You may be seated. That's the first prayer answered this evening. We give thanks. So as we gather in this sacred place, all hearts, all minds one, people of all nations, all places, different cultures, different walks of life, united together under one canopy. We give thanks. We give thanks for the food that we are about to receive in our bodies. We give thanks for the food and the ways in which we will nurture each other's minds, hearts, and spirits. And we pray that as we gather in this place, that each and every one of us will have heard one thing, at least one thing, that will ignite a spark in us, that we might go out and that each one of us might be beacons of light, bringing light to dark places, that we might share with one another, reinforce those things that we already know, those things we already believe, and those things that we have already dreamed about. But the prayer this evening is that each and every one of us will leave here different from the way in which we came in, perhaps adding a thought, a line, a connection, a dot, an exclamation point to the dreams that this nation is made up of. Let us go forth and let us ignite the fire with a fierce urgency that the time is now. And so now we begin this journey together. Amen.
Following that prayer, I'd like to take a second to wish one of our past honorees and friends in all unions, wish Roger Clayman a full and speedy recovery. We would also like to make a few mentions. Here on Long Island, we recently lost some strong labor leaders, and I'd like to let them know that they are missed. Like, for instance, Dennis Connors from the Allied Printing Trades Council, and of course, Timothy Lynch from the Teamsters 1025. They will be missed. Now I'd like to take this time to introduce you to LCLAA, which stands for Labor Council for Latin American Advancement, Long Island, our president, Richard Acevedo.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Actually, believe it or not, someone told me that in reality, I think someone's birthday today. I think the ETA 2 minutes. Dave Alberry. When you see Kathy Mooney, Dr. Mooney, I think it's her birthday today. She should be here 2 minutes. I just don't understand why all the gifts out here are all over here. It's an April Fool joke. But the truth of the matter is, someone put me up to this, but you know, as a union person, I don't rat out people, okay? And, you know, stand by our guns, but I do have to say that the person who was, you know, behind this crazy trick was actually a woman that works for Port Washington, but I'm not going to say any names. And to be honest, I think she's one of our honorees tonight, so I don't know. Anywho, with that said, brothers and sisters, families and friends, distinguished guests, on behalf of the Labor Council for Latin America Advancement, Long Island Chapter, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to our 5th annual Scholarship Gala event. We have a wonderful, wonderful program for tonight's event. Let us all be mindful and respectful during the ceremony presentation. We really emphasize that. Our Sergeant at Arms tonight is Ruby Thomas, who's back there, and trust me, she's a veteran and she carries a gun. Our entertainment tonight, we have LCLAA-Long and Siglo Banca, who's been with us. This is our 5th year with them. Okay, we don't change the program reinvent the wheel. And also we have with us DJ Eminem Miriam. Thank you so much for being here. I would like to take the time to acknowledge all of our beautiful women here tonight. I ask for all the men to please rise as we wish a belated Women's History Month, because as we know it, where there's a good man, there's a great woman behind that man. So thank that woman in front of you. Thank her. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our women. Thank you. Also, I just want to acknowledge our military veterans here tonight. If you can please stand and be recognized. Our veterans, please. Thank you for serving our country. Thank you so much. I also want to acknowledge tonight all of our honorees in the past. If you can please stand up and be acknowledged. I see some of us here, don't be shy. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. It's a great pleasure. And also, just to be reminded that yesterday we celebrated just want to wish out a belated birthday to Cesar Chavez, who actually was one of our Latinos, great organizer, great civil rights advocate for all Latinos. As you can see, what he done in California as far as organizing the farm workers. And if you think that that was a task, look what's happening today with our farm workers, that actually they don't have any rights as we speak. They're not covered, they don't get the overtimes, they work under inhumane conditions and everything else. They're not even covered under the Fair Labor Standard Act. So for all our union brothers out there, you know we have a struggle here because we have about 10,000 farm workers here in Long Island that needs those rights, just like what we have. Tonight we're also giving out 4 scholarship awards to 4 graduating high school seniors who have excelled in their academics and in their communities, okay? And one of them happens to be a dreamer tonight. And we're so privileged to have that person here. Can you please stand up, brother? The young man, can you please stand up? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We also have with us Honorable Reverend Dr. Cynthia Diaz, who is a terrific keynote speaker, a friend to labor, and versed both legally and spiritually. Thank you so much for being here. We're also honoring 3 individuals for their dedication and commitment to the labor movement and to their activism in their community. This year's gala, for me and for all of us, is very special. You see, tonight's honorees, even though they have never met before, and yet have something in common, something magical. That common thing that they have is that they are our unsung heroes at the time that we live right now. Now, what is an unsung hero? An unsung hero is someone who does a great job yet receives little or no recognition for it. An unsung hero usually refrains from claiming too much in return for his or her effort. I have, we all have witnessed at times and even been fortunate enough to be part of some of these heroic things that they do. Whether it's feeding the hungry people in our community where they live, spearheading a youth group for children in need, building leadership within our rank and files, membership engagement, representing our brothers and sisters through the good times and the bad times, or dedicating their lives, their career, to educate in tomorrow's future, which is our children. For this and so many other means, I say, we say, we are all blessed to have Victoria Moore, Monica Berkowitz, Christine Vasiliv as tonight's unsung heroes honorees. Please rise and give them praises. Please rise. Come on. Unsung heroes that we have tonight. Thank you so much for being here, for all our honorees tonight. I'd like just to acknowledge our LCLAA family that we have here. From Westchester, LCLAA in Westchester, Esteban Brown that's here with us today. Thank you, brother, for being here. We also have from New York City, Eddie Rosario, who's here tonight. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. And a woman that really doesn't need any introduction. She's actually one of our vice president on a national level. She's also a vice president for the UFT in education. And she's also one of our past honorees, and that is Evelyn De Jesus. Thank you so much. I'd like to take this time now to introduce our executive board. And I don't think our executive officer can actually come here. She just had an accident today, and she's on crutches if you see her. But that's our executive vice president, Guadalupe Johnson from CSCA Local 881 for most of the day. She's back there. Thank you, Lupe. Our first vice president, Anthony Garcia from 1190. Also, we have Luis Lopez from the Retail Warehouse Department Store Union and United Food and Commercials Workers. He's not here. He had surgery tonight, so speedy recovery to our brother out there. And our third Vice President, Pedro Castro from COBA, Corrections Officers Benevolent Association. And our recording secretary, who has done a lot of the grunt work, and I do have to appreciate her being here, being with us and sticking with us, Stacy Hargraves, affiliated with the Coalition of Black Trade Group. I tell you. And finally, our treasurer, who is telling me that we may or may not pay for this dinner, right? Is Olga Pineda from CSCA Local 882. All right, here we go. Okay, now here to talk about our theme is the one and only Anthony Garcia.
Rich mixed up all our speeches. First, I'd like to ask everyone, if you notice on your table, you'll see a journal book. I hope that everyone takes time to go through it to see all the people who sponsor us, see yourself and all the people who congratulate us. But you'll also find in the middle an application if you wish to join our lovely organization. It's only $20 a year. The application is in there if you can. I would also like you to take notice on the cover. If you notice, we have a theme every year. And this year, our theme is a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., which is, "We need to feel the fierce urgency of now." And I would just like to remind you that in 1963, that Dr. King gave a speech at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. And we all remember the great part where he says, "I have a dream." A lot of us memorize it, speak about it, but a lot of us forget that that speech is about 17 minutes long and speaks about so many other things. And one of those was the fierce urgency of now. So I would like to reiterate that, but in a 2016 way. I want to remind you the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promise of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlight path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of this moment. This sweltering summer of the working people's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 2016 is not the end of Dr. King's dream, but it's a new beginning. And those who hope that the middle and low class need to blow off steam and will now be content with a $15 minimum wage raise over the course of 5 years will be rudely awakened if our government returns to business as usual on Monday. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until we are all granted our citizenship rights. The whirlwind of organized labor will continue to shape the foundation of our nation until the brighter day of justice has emerged. Just like Dr. King, I am convinced that nonviolence, massively organized, powerfully executed, and militantly developed, is still the most potent weapon available to the working class today. And this is why we at LCLAA wanted to remind you of the fierce urgency of now. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you. Now I would like to present our chairperson for our education committee, Lucas. And by the way, she's a fierce force too. She's one of our retirees that makes sure that the job is done. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce the committee. We have Rutha Bush, Ruby Thomas, Anthony Garcia, and Pedro Castro. We do have citations, and they're going to be given out at the end, not up here, trust me. Okay. Anthony?
We're getting it. Okay. As a graduate of Brentwood High School in Suffolk County, Long Island, it's my pleasure to announce our first scholarship recipient, Priscilla Menendez from Brentwood High School. Priscilla will be the first generation of college students in her family. She's ranked in the 10th percent of a large graduating class. She has followed a rigorous Regents curriculum, even challenged herself in some honored courses. Priscilla will graduate with Advanced Regents Diploma upon graduating in June, in which she will continue her education in biology. With this great pleasure to introduce Priscilla Menendez with the LCLAA Scholarship for 2016.
We will be graduating this year with a class ranking of 23 out of 516. She has been on the honor roll since her freshman year. That is a remarkable feat, made more so by the fact she has maintained this high average while taking many courses that carry the high honors and advanced placement designation. Her success is not limited to the classroom. Her love of singing is evident as she is a member of Central Islip High School's award-winning singing groups, section leader in concert choir, and her participation in many of the school's musicals. She is also president of the Bible Club, a staff writer for the school newspaper, works as page at Central Islip Public Library, and is an English tutor. Liana is hardworking, determined, and deserving of this opportunity. It is with great pleasure to introduce to you Leanna Amadeo with the LCLAA Scholarship for 2016.
This scholarship goes to Grace W.I.O. Academically, Grace exceeds. She started taking high school courses while a middle school student and earned credits when she mastered the Regents exam in those courses. She has taken honor classes and advanced placement classes throughout her high school career. Grace does not settle for less than perfect and has earned the honor of being #1 in her graduating class, making her the valedictorian of the class of 2016. She will graduate with an advanced Regents diploma. It is with great pleasure to introduce Grace I.L. with LCLAA Scholarship for 2016.
Ladies and gentlemen, is the Dreamer Scholarship recipient, Anthony Martinez from the Hempstead High School, recipient of this year's Dreamers Award, is a young man with making lasting impression. His academic accomplishments ranking in the top 1% of his class, graduated with a Regents diploma, and includes courses loaded with several AP courses are noteworthy. His bright, transcendent from the classroom, whether on the soccer field or engaged in after-school clubs. His dedication to multiple summer to medical programs at the local universities. Mr. Martinez is a role model, well-deserving of this award. From a dreamer to a dreamer, it's my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Anthony Martinez for the LCLAA Dream Award 2016. Let's go, guys, come on. Let's go, fellas. Congratulations. Thank you. We also will make him read his paragraph. He was submitted to the scholarship.
Before I read this, I would like to take the time to thank Mr. Cimarron. Without him, I would have been introduced to the scholarship and I would have been here. So, thank you. As I enter the classroom, I watch my peers, some murmuring under their breaths, others standing in blank stares and in silence. But above me, the voice continues proudly, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sporadically, I would wonder if these lines truly justify the liberty and justice we give to individuals, any individual. As I have grown, I discovered that liberty and justice are by all means not induced to all. This forsaken truth came knocking into my reality within a dark night when my college research began. To any low-income student, the inevitable factor that plays a formidable worth when choosing a college is its cost. Fortunately enough, federal aid assuages such discomfort to those who are eligible. But what if this remarkable privilege had a nevertheless? Within its scriptures, a description that perfectly fit your status. What then? It was this same reality that became transparent within the words that initially tear the dream to become the first in my family to attend college apart. With no social security number, students cannot complete FAFSA, Therefore, they aren't eligible for federal financial aid. As I tried searching a non-existing, however, my heart turns heavy, and my mind gives up to space. It was then that I truly felt my status in the terrain I came to call home. But was it wrong? Was it wrong for my family and me to come to the land of opportunity, escaping the death sentence that poverty was ready to lay upon us? Occasionally, every human being stumbles across things in life that make the human mission to obtain answers and understandings procurable. But as each mortal roams the path that fate indicates, we become exposed to a reality that creates or deprecates. Within my path, I encounter an experience that opened my eyes to the veracity of life's sorrows, an inner drive that sparks with integrity, dignity, justice, and hope. Sorrow became strength, and tears reframed into driven spirit. The inescapable fact that life had formulated a challenge gave me an awe-inspiring inner sense of desire to succeed, knowing that my success would not only prove to those who had also been denied by the scriptures that this is the land of opportunity, germinates an inner power that gives me the strength to become one of the best, if not the best person I can be, spiritually, academically, and personally. Such outcome, unfortunately, it's not guaranteed to the 2.5 million undocumented students in the United States, or the 65,000 of them that get to graduate high school, or the 5 to 10% that end up enrolling in college. Research has shown that a simple label of being an undocumented student can spur an inner feeling of discouragement. This discouragement is because of the various drawbacks such status holds on the late stages of high school. I have witnessed students break down, hearing the appealing news that they, as others, will not be able to walk out of senior year with a diploma because of a requisite that they may have been unable to complete due to their economic or intensified personal problems created by the uncertainties of their lives. In their eyes, I have seen a loneliness that stifles their hopes. We cannot continue to approach our dreams alone, for that force that stands before us will little by little continue to take us down. To stand against the force that bestows fear upon our lives, we must become a single, united community. As a single, united community, we must understand the importance and necessary tools we need to get the DREAM Act to be passed. We must realize the fact that we are not aliens or criminals, but rather we are human beings who understand the value of education, work, and success. Through the DREAM Act, we will not take advantage of the jobs or become consumers of limited resources. Rather, we continue to be well-rounded citizens that have and will continue to serve the United States economy immensely by earning what we receive and working for what we need. Such an act can unravel an infinite number of resources to students and young workers that might have been before constrained by what vows of their foreknown reality. To those that understand and envision the future that is righteous and just, we become living testimonies to the afraid, but that they are not alone in this race. We must continue to advocate for unity amongst our own immigrant communities. It is time we come out of the shadows of fear and show our nation that we are dreamers who are wide awake to the reality we yearn to reach together.
We do gotta apologize for the mic, but once again, thank you for that inspiration speech from our dreamer here. This is what keeps us motivated. This is what keeps us moving forward to make sure that DREAM Act gets passed. As I introduce our first honoree tonight, I say this with a heavy heart because it really comes from him. When I say that she's an unsung hero in CSCA, she truly is. She is one that pretty much don't take no for an answer, holds everybody to accountability. And in some sense, she reminds me, there was a woman back in the early 1900s. Some of you guys may even know. Her name was Mary Harriet Jones. In the labor movement, we called her Mother Jones, okay? She was an activist, an organizer. She organized one of the biggest industrial workers of the world back then in the 1900s early. And she advocated for the coal miners, okay? And she was involved with a lot of, picketings and everything else, and organizing women and children with broomsticks and so forth back early, to rally against that 1% back in the days. And we find ourselves a little over 100 years later, and we have that same woman, that same character, and that is Monica Berkowitz right now as we speak. Now, there has been a little bit of difference between back then and here. Mother Jones had a quote that says, "I have been in jail more than one time, and I expect to go back," okay? That's what Mother Jones said, and one of the infamous ones was, "Pray for the dead and fight like hell for the living," which we can all relate to that, right? Well, today in time, our Mother Jones, her quotes, and trust me, her quotes are good. She says, "I don't give a rat's ass," and she means that. She also says, "He or she is as useless as a fart in a blizzard." And then when she goes into and says, "Are you kidding me?" and the Italian thing comes out, believe me, we're all in trouble. So it's with great honor for me to introduce our first honoree from the heart del corazón, my local president, Monica Berkowitz, and mind you, I do want to add one thing. I didn't read her bio, but she represents all of Nassau Bossies, and that's 1,300 members, just in Nassau Bossies. And if that's not the icing on the cake, she represents 6,000 members here in Nassau Educational Local 865 for school districts. My president.
Thank you, Richie. No, I wasn't around in the 1900s. I know Richie would like to think I was. I'd like to thank LCLAA and Richie Acevedo, their chapter president, for this great honor. Honestly, I didn't really come prepared to say anything tonight, but what's going to come out is from my heart. It's not about me. It truly isn't. It's about the people that I represent, the 6,000 people every day in the workplace. They're the people that gave me the opportunity to serve CSEA. And it's the help from Albany, and it's the help from the region, my local officers, my unit officers, my shop stewards, my unit presidents at the local. They hold me up every day, and that enables me to do what I need to do. It's really not about me, and anybody that knows me knows that this is probably the most uncomfortable thing for me to do, is to stand up here tonight and receive this award, because I really, truly, in my heart, believe that it belongs to the 6,000 people that we represent in Local 865. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Richie for the honor. Richie's also, he's a vice president at the local, and I think he thinks, if I retire, guess what? He did this nice thing for me. So, hang on, Rich. Also, I could not have done this without my own family. My husband, Les, is here tonight, who's had his share of TV dinners and takeout and take-in and any other kind of way you can get food into the house. And I love him and I thank you for your support. And a special thanks goes out to my best friend in the whole entire world, besides my husband and obviously my family, is my local treasurer, Jean Arlett. She's the one that sits with me at the office, and very often when I go off, as Richie would say, when I make those comments and I do the Italian thing and the fart in the blizzard thing, Jean's there to calm me down and to keep my feet on the ground, and it's not an easy task. But in any event, this is a special night, but not for me, for those kids that got the scholarships tonight. Are they great or what? And Anthony, from the bottom of my heart, you're unbelievable. What a kid. You really, really, really outdid yourself tonight. Congratulations, Anthony. Your family must be so proud, because we at CSEA are. And anyway, Richie told me I could have 2 minutes tonight, so I will say thank you again to everyone who attended, and also to LCLAA and to Richie Essevan. Thank you, Rich.
Good evening. I have the wonderful privilege of introducing someone that I met many years ago in high school gym class at Hempstead High School. She was upperclassman. Her name is Victoria Moore. We call her Vicky. Vicky is definitely a person that deserves to receive the LCLAA-Long Community Service Award. The reason why I say that is because Vicky is the type of person that gives herself so much you don't even know how she does it. We reconnected later on when our children, our daughters were in 5th grade, I think it was, when they were running track for Hempstead CYO. And Vicky became the coordinator for Hempstead CYO. It mentors children from pre-K all the way to high school. That wasn't enough. Vicky decided to start an organization called Youth for Tomorrow that also mentors young people. At the same time while she was doing all of this, she was working at Nassau County Correction Facility as a correction officer. And she's on the board for the Women, Infants, Children. And what that fund does is if a correction officer happens to lose his life, they provide funding to the deceased spouse and they provide funds to the children until they graduate from high school. Not just that, Vicky also is a part of her church. She's very active in her church. She's so active that she was even the choir director for the children's church. She saw the need at work while working to have women representation for the union. There wasn't someone that could speak for the union, for the women, to get their issues and their needs satisfied. So what did Vicky decide to do? She decided to run. She decided to run to become a voice to help empower the women at the jail, the correction officers. And she may not have been successful at first, but she didn't stop. She continued on until she won. And she's a delegate. She's the first female and the first African-American female to hold that office. So as I say, she's a very busy person. She's all about the community, and that's what we like. We need people. If everybody helps everyone, this world will be such a better place. And Vicky is one of the shining lights, living shining lights that help everyone. You meet her, anything you need done, you ask Vicky to do it, she says, yes, it's done. It's like money in the bank. So I would just like to have you all applaud, give a big shout out to Miss Victoria Moore, our community service award. This is for all your
Stacy. I'd just like to thank the COVID delegates that came, my president, Brian Sully, my vice president, Captain Devin, his wife, by Mr. Hogan and his wife, and my family, goddaughter, and everybody that showed up tonight. And I don't know where I get the energy from, but in the community, when I see children, they need help. We need a lot of help with our children. People can complain about our kids, complain, we're doing this, but the biggest thing that we can do for our children is volunteer. Everybody expects a little penny, but everybody should volunteer to do something. I know kids can get on your nerves sometimes. If you have the energy for kids, yes. But we need to actually, if you're not there like hands-on, at least try to make sure you donate to the organization so children can have what they need. And I remember the songwriter writes, if I can help someone along the way, then my living won't be in vain. So thank you so much, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas tardes. So we're at the home stretch, guys. I know this is like a big classroom. You know, after a while, everybody starts getting ADHD. We got to move on. We want to put our dancing shoes. I get it. But I just want to take a point of personal privilege. Two things I want to say on a personal note. I am so blown away by this LCLAA chapter and by Richie Acevedo and his leadership. So let's give it up for him. As I serve on a national basis, on a national arena as a LCLAA vice president, we are building LCLAA chapters all over the nation. And we start small. I remember coming for years, and to see the outpouring of this room, it just amazes me. And it's about what Anthony said. It's about dreamers coming together, organizations coming together. For people, I live in Long Island, so I am a Long Islander, but I serve, my job is I represent a school system in New York City. So, and my grandchildren are in Woodmere, so I have both worlds. So I have a vested interest. But I want to say to the Long Islanders here, be part of this organization. The Latino community has been ignored or not heard for a long time. Richie has brought voice to the voiceless. So please, for teachers that have children from all over nations, all over Latino nations, for unions that have all brothers and sisters from all our Latino nations, take part in it and be active. Because the reality is that the world is a global, the doors are open and it's all about globalization. And we all look alike, we all speak different languages, we all have the same heart. And to Anthony, I want to say, I heard a young man that impressed me, a dreamer. He said, I may not have the right papers, but I have the right values. Anthony, you have the right values. Thank you. So now I get to introduce somebody that is amazing. She's a fierce woman. So let me tell you a little bit about her. You know, you don't really know people. Like, you work with people, and you chat with them, and you talk to them. But when I read her bio, I was like, wow. I learned all her gossip, her bochinche, as we say, Puerto Ricans, you know. So let me tell you a little bit about her bochinche, because it's fascinating. Okay, Christine. Christine Vasiloff is a lifelong educator and activist. Her passion for social justice and cross-cultural understanding was nurtured at home and at Friends World College, an experimental Quaker school where she traveled to different regions of the world to seek out emerging concepts addressing issues of racism, the environment, education, and community. Christine did independent study projects in Appalachia, Maryland, Mexico, England, and Spain. She helped set up the bilingual program in Glen Cove. I didn't even know they had a bilingual program in Glen Cove. That's great. And worked in a migrant education program in Texas. She studied at the New School for Social Research and received her master's degree in TESOL from Long Island University. Christine taught in Mexico, Spain, Texas, and New York City. She trained teachers at C.W. Post, Malloy College, NASA BOSIS, the Port Washington Teacher Center, and has presented at numerous educational conferences. For the past 28 years, Christine has taught ESL at the elementary level in Port Washington. She worked to improve homeschool communication as a bilingual outreach worker and through parent educational programs. Christine has been active in the Teachers Union since 1987 by serving on numerous joint committees, the teachers' negotiation teams, and as a building representative. She was appointed to serve as co-chair of the Professional Growth and Curriculum Development Committee, the Office of Civil Rights Task Force, the Teacher Center Policy Board, and the District Diversity Committee. She has advocated for quality education with the state legislators as a member of the Committee of 100. In 2006, Christine was elected president of the Port Washington Teachers Association. She has worked continuously to build coalitions with other bargaining units, parent groups, and community organizations. In 2012, she was elected to the NYSERD Board of Directors for ED19, representing Central and North Shore Long Island locals. Christine continues to dedicate herself to social justice and equity through education and union activism. Please join me in honoring my sister, my colleague, my friend, Christine.
I am so blown away by that lovely introduction by Evelyn. Thank you. I do have a speech, but I'm going to read it so quickly so that you can all get down to dancing. What an honor it is to be recognized by the Long Island chapter of the Labor Council for Latin American Advancement. Es un honor y un privilegio. I congratulate my sister honorees, whose work and whose efforts are an inspiration to us all. Les felicito a ustedes. Thank you, Richard Acevedo, and the LCLAA, it's easier, LCLAA board for dedicating this evening to raising scholarship dollars for the education of future leaders. Esas becas son tan importantes para el futuro. I'm thrilled to acknowledge two very special guests who came all the way from Albany in the middle of state budget negotiations. The President and Vice President of NYSERD, Karen McKee and Catalina Fortino. Thank you for all. And thank you for being here. Gracias por todo lo que hacen para nosotros y para el estado de Nueva York. I look out and I see a room. It's a room filled with beautiful, dedicated, caring activists. We change the world every day, each one of us, by standing up for fairness, for justice, and sometimes for what's nearest right. We have hope. That's why we do what we do. Tenemos esperanza. Some of my fellow NYSERD board members are here, along with local union presidents. I have to say, they're luchando para el futuro y el presente. They're fighting for the future and the present. 3 local teacher union presidents join us, the presidents from Mineola, Westbury, and Syosset. Son mujeres increíbles. They're incredible women and incredible leaders. If our hope is for justice, how wonderful
that we're joined by the Director of the Nassau and Suffolk Civil Liberties Union, Jason Starr. Que viva la justicia! My Port Washington family is here. My fellow officers and our former president. We have retired educators here who continue to advocate for quality education for all children. My fellow ESL teachers and other dedicated, caring professionals who work every day to reach our students and build on their potential. Thank you for coming. Our work is an act of love, and it's also the work of a lifetime. We have caring administrators here, those representing the Administrative Bargaining Unit, the principals of Weber Middle School and Daly Elementary. I see the principal of Manor Haven Elementary, where I teach. I see the director of our ENL program and our human resources manager. Thank you all for being here. It's a privilege to work with you. I'm also so pleased and honored to introduce our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Kathleen Mooney. Kathy, your presence here means the world to me, and you give me hope. Mi corazón está lleno. My heart is full. We all have remarkable people in our lives, people who put up with our crazy hours, our long speeches, and our many causes. Thank you to my daughter Dina, my sister Laurel, and my sister-in-law Sherry. They're here tonight to share in my joy. Mi familia. I teach English to children from all over the world. Every day they come to school filled with hope. Their parents left the known for the unknown because they wanted a better future for their children. They had hope. Tenían esperanza, tenían valor, y tenían ganas. We're not competing interests. We are not the haves and have-nots. We share a vision. We have, in this room tonight, enough intelligence, enough courage, and enough heart to change the world. So let's do it, juntos, together. Thank you.
Buenas noches. Good evening. Buenas noches. Good evening. I am honored to introduce our keynote speaker, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Cynthia Diaz. Dr. Diaz is an extremely dynamic woman and a great orator. She's my sister in Christ. Dr. Diaz is an attorney and formerly the first female and Latina justice for the village of Hempstead. God called her to pursue a life in the ministry whereby she went back to school and earned not only her master's degree in divinity, but also her doctorate degree in divinity. Reverend Dr. Diaz currently serves in the Associate Pastor of Legal and Spiritual Counseling at UCC, Congregational Church of South Hempstead. Additionally, she's a very warm individual who is pleasant and very easy to speak with. Please stand up and help me to welcome the Honorable Reverend Dr. Cynthia Diaz.
Muchas gracias, Olga. God bless each and every one of you. I won't be before you long. As I stand here this evening, es un honor y un placer estar con ustedes. It is an honor, a privilege, and I have to say that I am so excited that when God created Anthony, he prepared him for this day, for he has already delivered the keynote address. Amen? So I am just here simply to put a punctuation mark on what we have already heard. Bear with me, if you will, just to speak just for a few seconds. I know that you are ready to eat, you're ready to dance, you're ready to fellowship, to celebrate with the wonderful honorees that we have witnessed tonight, to help celebrate and with your contributions, what you've already given to those who have received scholarships. But for a moment, I just want to talk to you about the theme of Si se puede, si podemos. Yes, you can. Yes, I can. Yes, we can. We can do it together. As we gather in this place, talking about dreams and talking about dreamers, I would be remiss if I didn't fluctuate between Spanish and English, for you see, you already know my name is Cynthia Diaz. I was born and raised here in the Bronx in New York City, and the first language that I learned was at the hands and the feet of my grandmother, who spoke no English whatsoever, having come to this country by boat from Puerto Rico. So it was in that language, in that early beginning, in that foundation, that my grandmother taught me the language of love. So although I have been blessed enough and fortunate enough to have amassed all of these degrees, to have been so many places in the world, having done so many things, having achieved dreams beyond the imagination of my family, being the first to go to law school, being the first to sit as a Latina woman on the bench and on Long Island. But it was those early words, those early meals, sitting at her feet, speaking the language of not only dreams, but the language of hope, listening and hearing who I was and who I was created to be. So when we gather here and we hear words such as the words that Anthony spoke tonight, when we witness the scholarships that have been given to these young people, we celebrate the many different languages that make up their path and their destiny. Let us hold on to that dream. When we hear the word si se puede, when I add to it si podemos, we know that it was our current president, and many of us attach that phrase to President Barack Obama, who first lifted it up in 2004 when he ran as a senator and later as a president. And it was endorsed early on by the unions. They picked it up. The farm workers immediately identified and attached to this man who was lifting up this dream. We come this evening celebrating and remembering the words of Martin Luther King Jr. But the reality is that each and every one of us, no matter where we come from, no matter how we were raised, no matter what our ethnicity is, no matter what job we have been called to fulfill, the assignment that we seek to be aligned with, we, each and every one of us, have dreams that we can tap into dreams. And like any other dream, when you fall asleep at night, there are seeds that are planted. So I plant those words in our spirits, in our hearts, in our minds this evening, this notion that goes beyond just one man saying it and one man doing it, but it goes to the heart of who we are. Says, si se puede, yes, we can, each and every one of us, giving the best of what we have to give. There were only a few awards giving out tonight, but truth be told, as we look around the room and we recognize who is present here, some with high positions, some whose names are unknown, and they may leave this room tonight nameless and some feeling voiceless. But the reality is that we all have something to give. And so if we are to gather here and give scholarships to dreamers, build and upon those dreams that have been materialized sometimes in the most dire circumstances, then we should continue to pour into those dreams, giving the best of what we have, not really recognizing or knowing what the end of that dream is going to be. For when we fall asleep at night, you know when we begin a dream begin out of something, someplace, somebody that has come across our consciousness and our lives. And when we begin dreaming, have you ever had the experience that somehow some portions of it may seem familiar, but it's the unfamiliar, it's the not knowing where that dream is taking us and how it's going to materialize and who's going to show up and who's going to go out and heights that we can go to. It's in that dream state that we go places that we have never been before. So todos tenemos sueños. Let us hold on to our dreams. I dare not come before this auspicious group and all of the leadership that we witness here tonight. You know the statistics, you know the issues, you know where justice is needed. You can inform me far more than I could ever tell you. But I know this, that if we just hold on to what we already have in our hands, if we hold on to the thought that each and every one of us individually and collectively, that yes, we can move beyond injustice. Yes, we can see podemos, tener sueños, sí podemos trabajar. When we come in this place, filled with so many wonderful people with the energy and the passion and the dedication and the contributions that are represented here today, we recognize that this LCLAA, it is comprised, and I am certain without knowing all of the history, that it was born out of this notion that as Latinos here in America, from wherever they may have come from under whatever circumstances, that there is a work ethic even when work is not available. And so we continue, we have an obligation to fuel those gifts, to fuel that talent, that even when we cannot afford to become bogged down with what the statistics say and what the economy says and what is available outside. Everything we need is inside of us. And tonight, the young man who stood before us showed us, demonstrated that we have the ability to be anything we choose to be and dream to be. Tonight, as I thought about coming before LCLAA, I think about the men who were at the Home Depot parking lot. Very recently in my church in South Hempstead, we began a new ministry, the Dorcas Ministry, dedicated to feeding those who are hungry and giving something to drink to those who are thirsty and clothing those without clothes. And as this ministry just began 6 months ago, one of the first group that went out, as they packed the car filled with meals to distribute in the village of Hempstead, the gentleman who was riding with one of the deacons, both deacons said, why don't we go to the Home Depot parking lot? And that's not really what she had in mind. She thought perhaps they would go to the bus terminal or the train station. And he said, no, let's go to the Home Depot parking lot. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, groups of 2s and 3s go out and feed those men who are just simply waiting for some place to work. Simply waiting for an opportunity to use their gifts, their talents, their creativity, their drive, their desire to provide for their family. Sí podemos. Hacer todo abajo del mundo en el cielo. Sí podemos ser mejor personas en este mundo. We can be be better people. It does not matter as much and as passionate as I am about who I think should or should not be in office and the legislation that I have fought for and the causes that I've stood up with, even whether it goes north or south, east or west, whether it's on your street or somebody else's street. Nobody, under any circumstances, should rob us of our dreams. So you, my beloved dreamers, don't just keep the dream to yourself. If you've ever had a wonderful dream, you may not remember all of the details, but you know the feeling that it evokes, and when you wake up, you just simply have to share it. Sometimes we want to go back and fall asleep and relive it. But as I stand before you this evening, and as your dollars have contributed to the scholarships that are going to make a difference in 4 young people's lives, continue to pour into those dreams. If your dreams are fading and if you're in those twilight years where all you want to do is sleep and not even have a dream, pass it on. Pass on whatever you have in whatever way, in whatever form. Say it in English, say it in Spanish. Dream it awake, dream it while you're sleeping. But whatever we do, we have a responsibility and obligation. We have a call, each and every one of us, that we might share one with another, that we in this great nation, as we began this evening, pledging allegiance to the flag, singing the songs of the nation that called our foremothers and our forefathers, those who came yesterday, those who are here today, and those who we will continue to open the doors for tomorrow. We are blessed beyond words. We have more than we could possibly handle or want. And so we have an obligation to share that abundance, that we might not only dream, but that we might fulfill those dreams, that we might not only lift up one who said it in yesteryear, as much as we respect and honor Dr. King, but that we walk with a fierceness and a boldness in the now, right here, right now. Si se puede, si podemos. We have the victory. We have the keys. We have the ability. We have the work ethic. We have the dream. We have everything that we need right here, right now. Regardless of who's in front of us, who's in behind us, who's leading or who's following, we are blessed in America. So God bless America and God bless you.
Once again, the Reverend Diaz. Please, round of applause. Thank you so much. All right, I'm not going to take too long because I know the food is just about here, but I do want to thank some of our unions that are out here today. And we usually don't do this because when we miss one, then, you know, it's a problem. But if I do happen to miss one, we do apologize. But I do want to thank CSEA, who's here tonight. Okay? We have the UFT that's here with us today. We have NICET. We have the UFCW, the RWDSU, COBA, 1199 SEIU, our international, both unions, the FLCIO, ABSCME, CBTU, New York City LCLAA, Westchester LCLAA, LCLAA National, the Association of Public Schools Administration, thank you for being here, the IBW, PBA, the Long Island Federation, and all of our sponsors who are here today, who actually sponsor us, thank you so much, because without your support, you know, we couldn't be where we are. The only thing I leave you with this is that I want you to really take a good look around this room. If I just have 1 minute, just 1 minute, just 1 minute. You know, this is a LCLAA, Latino Association, but just take a look at this room here. Check out the diversity that is here tonight. Okay? That's to be blessed. One. And two, what we need to really start focusing on is ask yourself one question. Why is that person I don't know here? And the answer is because A, they care, and B, somehow, some way we are connected, like a chain link. Like a chain link, and each and every one of us is a link that makes up this chain. But there's no beginning and there's no end to this chain. It's a big circle. And the things that are most valuable to us is what we have in there. Our family, our health, our loved ones, our security in our work, our respect, solidarity. Whether you're pushing a broom, cleaning the facilities, whether you're out there as a TA, EA, an educator, taking care of our elderly, out there working our public streets and public work and everything else, private, public sector, we all have to make sure that we protect one another because we are linked. Regardless of the fact, we are linked. And we must identify those individuals that suppress us to divide us. Because we have them. We have them in our workplace. We have people that work for us who does nothing but to create confusions for us. And we need to identify those people and stay in solidarity as one. Como uno. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. We are going to be serving from 1, 2, 3, 4. Once that goes down, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the announcement they made. So, thank you so much for being here. And enjoy the night.